older people coming in that say, I'm retired and I'm getting bored. And I was an engineer. I was, a mechanic. I can work on those machines. I can do that. And they're like, come on in. And they're like, I need, even some of them, like, can I work 4 hours a day and 6 hours a day? Because, they're retired and they want to do something else. But they want to have some of that time.
They don't necessarily want to bust her for 40 hours a week.
No.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
But they sometimes end up being some of the best workers we got.
Well, that's the funny thing because, and you touched on it perfectly. If you need a person that does A, maybe that's a fairly specialized job. But if in the past they've done B, that's real close to A.
Yeah.
And with just a little bit of tweak, you can take skills from B and turn them into being a very good guy or gal doing A.
Yeah, because we have a mechanic in ours and he's come over and is help fixing these electrical machines. But he has that mechanical experience that he kind of can see it. You know what I mean? Can fix it.
Yeah, we've had the same thing in our industry where we need skilled labor on machine tools, and you can't. And all the good machinists are working. They're working right now, all the good ones. But we'll find, say, an auto mechanic who's tired of hunching over greasy Chevrolets and getting filthy and working in an unair conditioned environment, and he comes to us where he can work in a fairly clean environment in an air conditioned atmosphere, and he's working on a piece of machinery which he's smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
If you can swap on an engine in a Chevrolet,
you can figure that out.
Exactly. That's exactly
because
right.
I think our guy was a diesel mechanic is what he was.
There you go.
So, and then he's working on these machines that, make assemblies. He never even saw one of those before, and he's helping do the dies, fix the dies, and, he just goes back, kind of like little back engineering. How's this thing work? So, and he seems to, figure it out and fix it. Like people say that, old people, you find that in the industry. They get rid, you have like a business come in, and they get rid of the people that know what they're doing. And they bring in these young people that don't know what they're doing, and they're cheaper. Right. And all of a sudden, their business starts sliding. And
Shocking.
They're like, what happened? I have no clue. We're like, well, you got rid of these people that know what they're doing.
That's exactly right. And business is funny that way. And the company I work for is a small family-owned business. You work for a family-owned business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, well, how can these family-owned businesses compete with the big conglomerates? A lot of times it's because they make the right choices.
Yeah, and we can make the due dates, your deadlines and all that. And these, actually, we work with some of these big companies, and they come to us to make their due dates.
Because they can't wade through the crap, and you guys can.
No, that's right. They're like, hey, we got this to do, that to do, and we're at a 12-week lead time. And where we're at, 2 to 3 to 4 week lead time.
Right.
So it's just, a no-brainer for them. They're like, we need help. Can you help us?
Well, and how many times have you seen, and this has happened countless times out there, and I'm sure you know of instances where it's happened, where you have the quintessential entrepreneur, and he's had a company, and he's taken this company and built it into something he can be proud of, and then somebody comes and they buy it for $12 million.
I know where you're going.
5 years later, it's out of business.
Yep.
But guess what this guy is doing? He's starting another company just like that because his non-compete is expired.
Exactly.
And you're thinking, well, wait a minute, this company's worth $12 billion. They bought this guy for $10 million. It was a rounding error. But in 5 years, they were out of business, and he came back and just did it again.
Yeah.
How can he possibly do that?
Well, yeah, I know a guy, and he did the same thing. He sold his company for like $30 million to these people.
Nice.
And he started it. And he was out, and he was fine, and he was doing good, starting other companies. Mm-hmm. And he saw in the industry, because it was in the same industry, and it started, and he saw it going down, heard it through the grapevine. Well, he bought it back for pennies on the dollar.
Really?
And he just recently resold it for $60 million.
Unbelievable.
Built it back up, and they're like, hey, you going to buy it a third time? He's like, no, I'm done.
And I find that quite often a bigger company, if they need to solve a problem, they don't have the benevolent dictator who runs the show.
Yeah.
They run it by a committee who runs it by another committee who runs it by another committee. And once they finally decided on a solution where nobody's feelings are hurt, not only is it not a good solution, but that ship has sailed and the problem is gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're
But
like,
if you have a guy who's in charge, says, okay, we'll do this, build that, throw this away, change that to this, and we'll start doing that today.
yeah,
Yeah, his committee is something he thought about over lunch.
yeah. Well, and like you were saying, once those companies, you see that, the guy built it or whatever, and we had a company close to us, and they were like rated. They got rated the number one small manufacturer in the United States, and the president came and visited them.
Wow, the president of the United States?
The president of the United States. And he and within the 5 year from him visiting, they had sold it and it went out of business.
Wow.
And we took their good because they started getting rid of the people that were good, that knew what they were doing. And they came to us. We're like, can we have a job? We're like, yeah, come on over. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We want you. So, I mean, just to watch that, it was sad. It just tanked. And I've seen that so many times, that people come in and do that. They try to reinvent the wheel and they say, and just keep with what was working in the first place.
Do you have any idea how much money we could save if we just bought square wheels for this wagon?
Exactly. It's
only one problem. It don't roll.
No, and it never does.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we see it, and it is hard because we even buy from people, manufacturers, that do the same thing. They get rid of the people that know what they're doing, and then we're calling them, and they're like, what is that? We're like, oh my, what do you mean you don't know what you're selling?
Yeah.
They're like, we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you see it all just start that same trend. They start just going out.
Yeah, you're never going to solve that problem.
No. Because you got those big guys that like, hey, watch this. I'm going to reinvent the wheel on this company. I know what I'm doing. Well, you don't know that industry, and that's like why Warren Buffett is so successful. He goes into a company that he wants to buy, and when he buys them, he watches them for a year. He doesn't get rid of the people. He watches them, sees who the cream is of that company, and then he cuts the fat.
Right.
And then he's like, you guys ran it. It's doing good. I'm going to cut the fat and then watch you keep on going, because those people will fill the void of what those people they lost,
Well, they had a problem not too long ago with Kraft. Kraft bought Oscar Mayer, and maybe it's the other way around, I forget. But Kraft is a company that's been around forever, and they make stuff that everybody just uses, okay?
Yeah.
Just the commodity stuff that everybody uses. So what they did is they just said, okay, well, we get rid of all of our R&D people. We'll get rid of all the advertising people. We get rid of all the people who are innovative and make the real money, and just keep on making these commodity items. Well, the problem is all of a sudden the wheel turned and nobody wanted Velveeta cheese anymore. They wanted this kind of cheese. They said, well, quick, we got to do something different with this cheese. They said, well, you fired those guys. We can make all the Velveeta you want. They said, well, it doesn't matter because nobody's buying Velveeta anymore. And they ran into troubles. They said, well, okay, then let's go ahead and fire up this machine and make more of this stuff, which is a little bit different. They said, you fired all those mechanics, so we have nobody to run the machinery. They cut the fat so much. They thought they were cutting the fat, but they cut more than the fat. And then they didn't have people to run the company. And they got into big, big, big troubles.
Yeah.
And on paper, it was the thing to do.
Yeah.
But the consumer changes what they want.
Yeah, all the time. Well, you get into the organic and, non-conflict free or the conflict free,
exactly,
whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you're like, well, ours isn't that, so
exactly.
We got to streamline it and revamp, and, you got rid of everybody, and now you have to spend money on revamping. And
that's exactly right. Now, you and I work in businesses that are not directly consumer related. However, industry changes in all ways. And in our business, we make products that cut different materials. And when that material changes, you have to change the presentation of the cut, the material that it's used. There's just a lot of little subtle changes that you have to make, because it's like anything else. It's like chocolate cake. There's different types of chocolate cake, okay? And if people don't want chocolate cake made from cocoa beans that are from this country because it's a conflict cocoa bean or something.
Exactly.
It's got to be from Ghana. It can't be from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And you've sourced all your cocoa beans from Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Ghana won't sell you any. You're kind of screwed.
Yeah. Well, that's my a friend of mine's doing right now with coffee beans. He's trying to trying to switch to an organic, conflict-free bean. And then now with, like you're saying, with the COVID stuff, he can't get it here. And then he'll have to start selling his bag of coffee for $20 a bag. So who's going to buy
That's exactly
a
right.
$20 bag of coffee?
Right, exactly.
It better be really good.
Yeah. But that's the risk that you take.
Yeah.
But with this whole pandemic, things change. And things change. If we had never had this pandemic, things would have changed.
Oh, yeah. They were changing anyway.
It's exactly
It's just
right.
how fast is it going to change?
Yeah. It's figuring out how it's going to change, what you have to do to adapt to that change.
Exactly.
And because it's like anything else, there's going to be winners and losers in this.
Yep.
And we got to figure out how we're going to win or be left behind.
Yeah, that's why I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he runs a huge company, and it was, when this happens, the pretenders are going to be cut out. You know what I mean? You're going to have
right.
That's where the cream is going to rise. The people that can do it, and the people can't. They're going to be left behind. So that's that'll be a good thing for people, because those pretenders, those people that can't do things, say they do things and they can't do it.
Right.
Fake it till you make it. It's not going to work anymore.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You picked that out of a movie, I bet.
Well, that's what people always say. But as you do business, you can see that more and more. You're like, this guy has no clue what he's doing. He's just faking it till he makes it.
Yeah.
And you're like, we can't go with him,
Well, and unfortunately, my day job is I'm a salesman, okay? And I will be the first one to say that the majority of people who are in sales, industrial, retail, whatever, the majority of people who are salespeople for a profession, the world would be better off if they were lined up against a wall and shot. Because they're just horrible. That they fake it till they make it.
Yeah, and that is a true. But you do have those group of guys, like you have the people, especially today. If you're a salesman, you're like, are you doing your time? That guy's at home on his Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah,
I'm calling customers right now.
I'm working from home.
So that's what I'm saying. You'll have those people instead of the. I talked to another guy that he's a salesman too, and he's like doing 300 calls But he comes into the same thing where they're like all saying, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Nothing's changed. I'm good. He's like, not everybody can just be good and nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Something's got to be going on. So
well, and that's why I always think it's best to go in to see the customer. Why do you got to see this guy? He told you everything was good. Why are you wasting your time to go in there and see the customer? Well, okay, I'll tell you why. Because he's told me everything is good. Okay, well, I'm going to be in the area. Can I see you anyway? Well, of course, yeah. Come on in. We'll have lunch, talk about old times. But I don't have anything for you. That's fine. Okay, so we're, chewing the fat, talking about this and that and that. Then I look over in the corner. I said, what's that over in the corner? They said, oh, we're putting a new machine in. I said, well, I thought you said there's nothing going on. They said, well, nothing is going on because that machine's won't be installed for another month. Well, does it use your product? Well, yeah, it does, but it came with a whole bunch of stuff, so we're not going to need anything for that thing. I said, for how long? She said, well, I don't know, a few months. So I said, so in other words, in about 6 months, you're going to need product for that machine. I said, well, yeah, and I'll call you in 6 months. I said, well, yeah, but it takes time to research it, to build it, to do all that kind of stuff. So if you call me in 6 months and say I'll take 12, and I tell you there's a 10-week lead time on that, you're going to soil yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go look at it now. So we do, and I sent him a quote. And in 6 months, he places the order, and life is good.
Yeah.
But you have to
be there.
You have to be there. That's exactly right.
Well, and that's a thing. That's a problem people, with manufacturing. They're like, hey, just pull it out of the bin and send it to me.
Yeah, except
that blade.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it in the bin. So just go ahead and send that today if you can.
That's exactly right. And customers, and I'm sure you get this in your business, customers want you to stock an infinite amount of product that they're going to need with no guarantee